This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, yesterday we started with writing custom images through Dockerfile, and we discussed how to build the Docker image and how to push it to the Docker. And we discussed few instructions from the Dockerfile reference. First, we discussed from should be the first instruction in any Docker file. It has some one exception. We will see that. And then after that, we discussed run. Run will be run at the time of image building, and later we discussed cmd. Cmd is the one to start the container. It will not at build time. That is the only difference between run and cmd. And later we discussed label, that is to provide some labels to the images and containers, and then expose to give the port information to the users, and env to set the environment variables for the Docker images and containers. So these things we discussed yesterday. Now let us continue the remaining things. File instructions. So we discussed env yesterday. Now let us discuss add. Yesterday we discussed copy also. Copy also. Copy is to copy the files from your local to the Docker images. Add also same, but add has some two extra things. That is, you can download files directly from the URL, and you can extract the zip files from your local to the container directly. So this is also an important question. What is the difference between copy and add? Copy and add both copies the files from local to the Docker image, but it has two extra functionalities. It can download the file directly from the internet. That is one. And another one, it can extract the zip files from your local to the container. We will see that. I'll just create add. Okay. From Alma Linux 8, and it does the same as copy. I'm going to show you the two extra functionalities it do. Okay, let us take one file from the internet. For example, some file randomly. I will take this. Okay, you just give add, then slash tmp. If it is copy, file should be here in your repository. For add, it can download the file from the internet. Okay, let us take raw. This is the file actually. Cd add. Git commit. Docker, the instruction build -t name version and then colon. Let's see, Docker images, we got it. Let us run and then see. Docker run hyphen it add colon v1 bash. Now let us go to tmp. You can see it is downloaded directly here. This is one of the advantage. You can directly download from the internet. Another advantage is you can extract the files. Let us have something like Apache Maven. For example, I have this one. Let it download. No, it's not getting downloaded. Okay, let me take any tar file available in my system. Okay, let me take this and then copy here. This is the file. Add slash tmp slash. Now let us run this. Build again and run it. Then go to tmp and then check here. Okay, so you have your file extracted directly. So that is the extra two advantages of add instruction over copy instruction. That is about add, and let's move to the another instruction. Copy we already discussed, and entry point. Entry point is very important. Now let us discuss this. If any Docker and Kubernetes interview, definitely there will be a question. What is the difference between CMD and entry point? We know CMD already. CMD is the one that starts the container, and let us see what it is with entry point. Okay, I will add readme files later. You just listen whatever I tell now. Later I will add it as a readme file, as you can see here in every folder. Okay, so now let me take Alma Linux 8, and then here I will do cmd ping google.com. Okay, full here. Okay, now let us build docker build -t entry :v1 dot. Okay, we built successfully. Now let us run. So what it is doing, it is pinging google.com, because the command I gave for the container to run is ping google.com. So it is running continuously. Okay, but if I give docker run entry :v1 and then sleep 5 seconds, now it is sleeping for 5 seconds and it will come out. So the thing is, you can override the command given in cmd through the command line. Okay, just write here. We can always override the cmd using command line. Okay, but let us see the entry point, the same thing. Instead of cmd, I will give entry point. Now build it again and run it. Just run it normally without passing any overriding. So it is doing it same like cmd. But if I try to override like here sleep 5, that's it, entry point. Okay, I did not pull, sorry. I will build again. If I'm trying to override the entry point with sleep5 command. Now let us see how it happens in the background is ping google.com, and the command I give here will go and append. Now this is the one it will run actually. The same error you are getting. Okay. So the outcome is we cannot override entry point. Okay. So this is the main difference. We can override cmd command through command line, but you cannot override entry point. But there is a combination you can use. You can use cmd and entry point for the best results. For example, now here I will give cmd and then google.com. Okay, and then ping 5 packets total, not infinite time, just 5 packets. Now if you do like this, now let us see what happens. Okay, now if you run like this, now you are pinging google.com. It means, let pull properly. I asked only for 5 packets. Okay, it means the entry point CMD provides arguments to the entry point. This command will go and look like this. Ping -c5 google.com. So it means CMD adds arguments to entry point. Okay, so this is the one. And if I give here here, if I give facebook.com, facebook.com is not able to ping. Okay, let me ping youtube.com. Okay, something wrong in the Docker file. cmd google.com entry point and then google.com, it's correct. Let us build it. Now let us run it. Okay, so now you are pinging youtube.com. It means, you can always override CMD. Now whatever the command I am giving here youtube.com, this will go and replace google.com and provide arguments as to entry point. Okay, so this may confuse, but if you practice this again and again, then you will understand. I will note down the points here. CMD command can be override. Entry point can't be overridden, but we can use the combination as CMD provides default arguments, but you can always override CMD through command prompt that provides actual arguments to entry point. Okay, so this is about CMD and entry point. Any doubts here? So this is useful when user forgets to provide arguments, then CMD will provide default arguments. Otherwise, user can always override it. Now you can override it with any website. So this can be a ping service. You can use this container to ping any website. Okay, like facebook.com or anything, github.com. So we are getting this results by the combination of both CMD and entry point. Any doubts? Usually in projects also we use similarly. Ravi, funny, Senthil, is it
I'm
clear?
good, bro. Yeah, sure. No.
Yes, you are fine.
So this is the mandatory question you face in interviews. CMD and run, CMD and entry point, add and copy. And then let us go to the next thing. Volume will be little confusing in Docker file. No one will use volume in Docker file. So we use volumes at Kubernetes. We will create the volumes and we can mount it to the containers. And other than volumes, we have user. Okay, let us go to user now. User is nothing but whatever the, if you mention user, some username, whatever the commands you run after this will be under this user. Okay, this will be useful at the time of container security, because whatever the containers we run now, this is all, for example, if I run it, whatever the containers we have, that is all with root access. For example, docker run -it add v1. You see, we got the root access. But if you don't want the root access, you need to use user command. For example, from Alma Linux 8, I take, and then you need to create one user before that. User add, I'm creating Docker user or Kubernetes user, some user called K8. And then before that, let me push something, echo hi to tmp/hi.text. And now here I use user K8, and then let me push echo hello to .tmp.hello.text. Now let us see what happens. Git pull cd user docker build -t user v1 dot, sorry, here it is tmp. Okay, now run. Let us go and then check it. You see, now it is not the root user. If you see here, the user is K8. Okay, so the instructions, whatever after this, all will run as K8 user. And then let us go to temp. You can see here, hello.txt is copied with K8 permission, hi.txt is copied with root permission. Okay, so that is about user command. We use this for security. Here we install all the things related to the installations and which require some root access, and then we change the user to normal user. And work directory is it will
But
set the, yes,
So by default, K8 user will not be present, right? So even though
Yeah,
the
we need to
user is
add.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, if the user is present, then fine. If the user is not present, we need to create. Otherwise, you will get error.
okay.
Okay. Work directory will set the path just like cd to that directory. That's all, nothing else. Let us just check it. Now work directory, I want to set it as some, let us create directory first. Directory dot temp dot app1, for example. You always give -p and then work directory /temp /app-1. Now let us check pwd. Before that, also run pwd to know the directory. Okay, now let us set up this work directory. Docker build -t work v1 dot. Docker run -it work v1 bash. Oh shit. So we got the output here itself. Let us see. Okay, Docker remove the image and then let us see. Now you can see here the pwd here is tmp app1. The pwd here is slash. Okay, work directory used to set the path for your Docker file. That's it about work directory. And now let us discuss arg. Okay, arg is like build time variables. Environment, you see, environment variables are available for the container, but arg, the variables are available only for the build time. So that is the difference between arg and env. So this is also an important question. Arg, arg is to provide the build time variables, but env is to provide the environment variables for the container. Now let us see arg. So I told you from is the first instruction, but there is one exception, that is arg. That arg we will see now. For example, always we use Alma Linux 8, right? Now let us not hard code and then provide from the runtime. For example, today you will use 8, tomorrow you use 9. You cannot go and change all the time in Docker file and rebuild it. Instead of that, you can take the instruction arg here and just give the variable name as version. Here you just provide it as version. Okay. Then we will see what version it builds. How you provide arg variables is docker build before -t itself The option is build arg. Variable name is version. What is the version? Let us use latest this time. And then Alma Linux. Sorry, arg v1. -t. Okay, so I am passing the version latest. I'm not hard coding here. So now this will receive the version and pass it to it. And then it will refer the Alma Linux latest version. Okay, if you see Docker images now, we got Alma Linux latest. Okay, if you, even we can check, we can remove and then check. Okay, let me use force. Okay, now there are no images. Now let us see. Now the image it downloaded is latest. You can pass 8, 9. Now you check it. Now you got 9. This is how we use arg to provide build time arguments to the Docker file. But usually we do with a combination of arg and env, like cmd and entry point. For example, here you have an arg that is useful like project, for example. So you pass project from here, but this project is only available. This variable project is only available at build time. Your container cannot access. Okay, if you want to see, you can check this. We will check this. And after that, let us run echo dollar project. Okay. Let us run this and then check. Here you can print at the time of this one, but when we go and run inside the container, we cannot. Let us check that. Now let us pass one more -build arg project equal to k8. You got it, project equal to k8. But same if you run it as container, docker run -it arg colon v1 and then bash. You don't have that here. You don't have that variable project because this is set for arg only. You cannot use it inside the container. You can only use it at the build time. If you want to make it available for the container also, just give env project equal to $project. Okay, now let us see. I'm just creating another environment variable and providing that argument value to it. That's it, nothing more than that. Now you give env, you can see project equal to K8. So this is how you will use the combination of both arg and env. Okay, but the main difference is arg is available only for the Docker build time, env is available for the container. What is it about arg? And then let us go to on build. Okay, on build is the instruction. If somebody uses your base image, you want to set some standard. Without that, you will not allow them to run that base image. Okay, that uses on build. If you read this clearly, then they will tell you created, for example, a base OS in your company, and other application teams are using that base OS, but you need to set some standards. If they don't follow that standard, then their container or Docker build will fail. Let us see that now. For example, I'm creating on build. So everybody wants Nginx image to run their web applications, like front-end applications. Now you are creating one Nginx image to use it across your organization. Okay. Now let us use this Docker file from Alma Linux 8. You are using Alma Linux 8 and installing Nginx. And then here you write some instructions actually, like you create some hardening rules, hardenings, or installing your company certificates, etc. So you do all those things here, and then at finally you use entry point or CMD. Where is it? Now this is the Nginx image. Okay. Now somebody wants to use it. You need to set some standards. What are those standards? For example, Nginx, who will use, like here, how we have some project here, and then we are copying this project into the Nginx folder, right? So here you want something like, you want a project to be available with name web app. Okay, otherwise it will fail. For that, what you need to do is on build. What is the instruction we have here? This one, on build, copy. They should have an up folder called web app. Okay, but when I'm building this image, this instruction will not run. When someone else use your image as base OS, then this instruction will run. Then they will check for web app. If that is not available, it will throw the error. Let us see now. Anyhow, I don't have web app here. It should not throw error. This is if someone uses your image as their base OS or base image. Okay. So let us see this. Git pull on build. Docker build -t on build :v1 dot. Okay, so now we built the image. Now if somebody uses this image as their base OS, for example, I'm giving on build test. Now I'm using from on build v1. Now let me run this. Okay, now you use docker build -t test :v1 dot. See, it is saying failed. File not found in build context. Web app file does not exist. Okay, but if I copy this, here and then run, just rename it as web app. Okay, now you do it. Now you do the docker build. It got success. Now if you run docker run test :v1, run it in a detached mode and give it some port -p 9000:80. Now access it through the IP address 9000 / web app. Okay, now you see. So what you did here, you created one Nginx image for your organization, and any team in your company, they can just give a single instruction, their website is immediately up. So whatever the conditions you want, you will keep it with on build instruction. Then you will provide the documentation for them. I need these conditions. You should have web app. You should have another folder. You should have something else. You should have something. So all those things you will keep it with on build instructions. Okay. Any doubts still here? Gopi,
I'm
funny
good.
doubts until okay. So that is about on build, and then let us discuss stop signal. Okay, so stop signal docker ps. Okay, if I ask this container to stop, I'm sending an instruction to the docker daemon to stop this container. Now let us see what happened. This is stopped. The exit status is 0. Exit status 0 means what will happen is your your daemon will ask your container to stop. It means it will request, it will not force. So it will send a request to stop the container. Then it will give usually by default 10 seconds. If it is not stopping within that 10 seconds, then it will kill the container. That is like graceful shutdown. But if you want a different behavior, you want to force the daemon to stop the container, then this stop signal will be useful. So there will be a lot of signals in Linux, right? So all these signals you can pass it. and the signal numbers are generally 137 for the forceful exit, I think from 128 plus. Okay, now let us see this. Stop signal. Okay, here the documentation says very less information. Okay, you can pass some number to it to exit from Alma Linux 8 and then give stop signal. How it is? Stop signal number. Okay. Now I want to pass some number 137 or something else. Docker. Okay, let us pull. Store signal. Okay, by mistake. Docker build -t stop v1 dot. Okay. Now we have I will run it. Docker run -d in the background. Stop v1. I want to sleep it for 50 seconds. Okay. If you see Docker ps, now this container is sleeping for 50 seconds. Now if I stop Docker stop this container, now you see the exit status 137 means it did not request the container to stop, it directly killed it, whatever it is running. Okay, there we can pass different kind of signals for the containers to stop, that is through the stop signal command. And we have health check. You know, whenever there is something, you do some health check to frequently report the health of the system. Usually we don't use health check here, we use health check in the Kubernetes, and then we can use it in Docker Compose also, but for the practice purpose I will do it here. Okay, so this is our Nginx. Now if you want to do the health check, you need to do this. Just give this command, then the Docker ps command will tell you the health of the containers. Okay, now I'm hitting the local host at port number 80 by default. This will give us the health check at the command line. Docker build -t health v1 dot docker run -t health v1. Now you do Docker ps. It is giving you the health starting. After some time, it will give you healthy, some status like healthy. If it is not healthy, it will give you unhealthy. Okay, so mostly we don't use it at the Docker level. We use it at the Kubernetes called liveness probe and readiness probe. That is more robust than this. And the final instruction we have is shell. Shell is, if you want to select a different shell, then this will be useful. Mostly it is for Windows purpose, because in Windows you can have CMD, PowerShell, and the Git shell, whatever I have now, that is base shell like this. So this will be useful for the Windows, not more useful for Linux, guys. And mostly we use the bash shell by default with our HCL. In olden days, we have multiple kinds of shell. Even I don't know at that time. Now it is nowhere useful for us. If you want, you can just see with this what is the shell they are selecting. From here, the instructions will be with PowerShell. From here, the instructions will be with this shell. Okay, so that's all about the Dockerfile instructions. Now we know how to use all these instructions. We use this knowledge to do the application deployments, to Dockerize the application. For example, tomorrow one of your application team wants to Dockerize their application. You can tell them with this knowledge. I mean, from tomorrow we will start building the applications with this knowledge. After that, you can tell your application developers how to Dockerize the applications. That's all for today. From tomorrow, we can start creating the open source applications with this Docker files, and we will run it a project, microservices project. Any doubts till now? So I will upload this session within 1 hour. And then I will write the information in the README files.
Okay, Shiva, nice, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, then that's all for today. See you in tomorrow's session. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.